This episode of Soul Decodes is pre-recorded, but Sarah and Tia Jolie felt it compelling enough to share with you today. We hope you agree.
The following Earth Angel Media presentation is brought to you commercial-free as a gratuity from the sponsor producer named after the show. Please consider their message. Find other high-value shows listed at earthangelproject.com. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Soul Decodes. Join us as we wander off the path to find the ideas that fascinate. We talk about spirituality, the mind, the ego, wellness, and hidden history with tips, travels, and tales. Charms for a better life.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Treehouse here on Phillips Island. It's a beautiful day, and I'm way out of my league. I am so far out of my league. I'm with the writer and philosopher and thinker, Sarah Thierry, here at the Treehouse. And Sarah, what's on your mind today?
Well, a lot.
Really?
Okay, gonna have to break it down.
Okay.
So, it's just a little bit of business first, and I thought it might be good to have a little business meeting live, because then the listeners will be in on our manifestation process.
They're part of it.
They're part of it, that's right. So how do you feel about doing an event, a live event, and I'll have to tell you about, let me just give you this format first, and when I tell you about what I'm going to tell you about afterwards, then this will make more sense. But we could do it at the Chamber of Commerce in town. And I think, I'm not sure their capacity, maybe 175 people, and we can advertise it in the newsleader. And we come together and we do question and answer format. So we'd be sitting on the stage and we'd be talking about what we talk about here on this show. But we do it, and then the audience will ask us questions. So
I love it already. I love it.
Good.
Well, you know, the one thing that we have going for us is we're not scripted. Like everything is just off the cuff. And sometimes we'll just take like a 90-degree turn.
Love them.
One way or the other.
Story of my life.
I know, right? Welcome to my world. But, you know, in one regard, it's like, you know, you're kind of throwing yourselves out there to the what ifs of the world, but I think it's super exciting.
Yeah.
And I actually
and you've performed on stage.
Of course.
So I do. I think I'm going to have a bit of stage fright, but I'm I'm going to overcome this.
Because you've got your big sister here.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay, no, I like it, and I've actually made a lot of friends with the Chamber lately. I'm not a member of the Chamber. I'm not. This is kind of a weird thing, but I'm a voluntarist. I'm not a collectivist in any regard.
What's the difference?
So part of my idea is
a voluntarist.
A voluntarist.
Yes, a voluntarist.
So
okay.
It's actually a kind of a subset of libertarianism. I don't like labels of any kind, but a voluntarist simply has the belief that all transactions between we the peoples, like we humans, are voluntary. They should not be forced. Like, we're creators, we're independent, we're sovereigns, right? And that if you and I decide to do something as consenting adults, we have the right to do that. Mm-hmm. And if we decide to not do things, we should be able to not do those things too.
Yes.
So all transactions should be voluntary.
Right.
It's the ultimate freedom. Yeah. And the idea is that if you're a sovereign soul and you have the capacity to make decisions for yourself, and you're not harming other people, breaking their things, stealing their property,
being mean and rude,
lying or cheating or stealing,
petty,
right?
You're not that.
You're not those things. Yeah. You're not lying, cheating, stealing, breaking your word, breaking your promises. You're not doing those things.
You're not a scumbag.
You're not a scumbag. Yeah. Thank you. Like, why didn't I just pick your words?
I'm the writer.
You're the writer. Can I say all that stuff, Tia Jolie? Tia Jolie, can you use like one word, like scumbag? Yeah.
It was building in my mind.
Know, right?
This was the word I chose. There could have been a few of them.
Right. So you know, if you're not those people, then, all transactions are voluntary.
I love that.
And so what we find is that if you really dissect the world around us, the things that go wrong are usually the result of the use of force.
Holy moly,
And so-
that's a massive idea, isn't it?
Yeah, and force comes in all sorts of different flavors, right? There's economic force where it's like, I'm going to tax you to death.
Cultural.
Or cultural, like,
Yeah.
oh, you're one of those people, right? And that's part of one of my stories.
Or in a family dynamic.
Family,
I mean,
yeah.
it's just everywhere.
Oh, and it goes everywhere. It's like, and usually it's from when people put a label on somebody else. It's like, oh, you're a middle child.
Yeah, it's tribalism.
But it's like,
isn't
what
it?
the hell is middle child?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
It becomes a syndrome at that point
right.
if you do that.
Oh, you're from Detroit. Like,
Yeah. Oh, you've got blonde hair.
right? Well, and it's like, you must not have any brains, right? And it's like two blinds talking to each other here. But, from Detroit, people are like, oh, you're from Detroit.
What does that mean,
And
though?
you're-
What's the mythology of
and you're-
Detroit in America? What are you if you're from Detroit?
Well, I think Detroit's the rock capital
but
of the world.
what is the
but
demeaning?
It's the Motown. Oh, the demeaning part would be like, oh, and you survived? Like it used to be the murder capital of the world, right?
So, right,
But,
okay.
now then they bounced to Houston and then Kansas City and
Yeah,
New Orleans. I mean,
Baltimore
it's
is
just,
everywhere.
it's just the thing, back in, when we were, back in the 70s.
Back in the 70s,
Back in the
it would have been,
70s,
had a
like,
hardcore label.
yeah, because it's just the city of Detroit was kind of imploding upon itself, and a lot of reasons for it. I don't want to go into those things, but basically they took away this idea of free enterprise, and they try to instill these Marxist ideologies upon the city, and all of a sudden everybody wanted stuff and they didn't want to work for it. And next thing you know, there's like no incentive,
Chaos.
and there's a bunch of nepotism and pay-to-play type of schemes, and the whole city imploded. Well, they labeled the problems Detroit had with racism, and oh my goodness, and there's all, and so now you start labeling and dividing and conquering, and you're
Gosh,
taking down these major cities,
Yeah.
and it's not just Detroit; it's a lot of major cities.
But this is a systematic
But, yeah.
theory of how to break this down.
Yeah, it's like,
That's gone, but it's
like
like
if-
a textbook. If you were writing this, this is how you do it.
Oh, totally. Like if somebody, like I say, if somebody, a third person besides the two of us, had this nefarious concept that they're going to get Jolie and Sarah to fight with each other, right? How would you do that? Like you and I love each other. How would you divide us? How would you'd probably start to create lies like, oh, you wouldn't believe what Jolie said behind your back, right? Or, you don't want to work with Sarah because she's a member of the Rotary Club.
Yeah.
And the Rotary
so
Club.
it starts with gossip and malicious intent.
Yeah, and then they start to divide you. But like you and I, we're beyond there. It's like you'd pull me aside and say, Jolie, I heard you said this. Is that true? And I go, no.
Yeah.
If I had an issue with you, I'd come,
Yes.
I'd look you dead in the
Yes.
eye and say,
Yeah.
girlfriend, we got to talk about something,
Yeah.
right? And that's kind of how that play out.
But a lot of people don't want to be uncomfortable doing that. I don't mind being uncomfortable, and I can be confrontational should the need arise. So it doesn't. But a lot of people. A lot of people.
No way, really?
But a lot of people would gossip as a means of trying to deal with an issue, but going straight to the person and looking them dead in the eye. And that's the only way to deal with it. Otherwise, all this stuff gets just cast about.
So
and there's no
That's
there's
so
no problem
true.
solved at all either.
And for better or for worse, this darn internet. To me, the internet's beautiful. I'm an entrepreneur. It's the Wild West. There's so much positivity with the internet. I wouldn't know so many things.
I wouldn't be able to
honestly-
publish my books without the new technology.
Right. And honestly, I didn't pick up a bass guitar until I was 45 years old.
Right, wow.
And so I wouldn't have learned how to play bass
So I
if
think
it
that's
wasn't for YouTube.
Everything in life has a flip side, though, doesn't it? So the internet's fantastic, but
Well, the flip side of it is that, it tends to bring out the most nasty part of people. Because you can be really brave when you're behind like this computer screen.
Yeah.
It's like I can be like, Genghis Khan, Mrs. Genghis Khan, and just kind of destroy and, take over things because I'm all brave. But then when you get out,
you're actually a coward because you're hiding.
You're a coward. You're hiding. So you got
You think you're brave.
You got all these people. It brings out the best and the worst because, like, But if you met that person at the post office or the grocery store, and they're them and you're you, and you're these warring, opposing parties, and you're ideologically polarized, but you meet them, you're going to find out that most of the things that are important to you, not whether you're politically blue or green or red or purple, whatever your political ideology is, most of the things that are important to you are probably important to the other person too.
Yes.
So
yes, I agree.
So
100%.
all of this divisiveness that we see, because, you're one of them.
Yeah, it's a label in it, but it's tribalism. There's an opponent. I mean, a lot of people can only get along with other people if they adopt a similar belief system because they feel safe. They feel, okay, they're one of me, they're one of my kind. And that might have had its uses in evolution, right? It had an evolutionary purpose. But what you're talking about now, this has just gone haywire. I don't have to think and agree with everything that you think and agree about. We're going to agree on a lot. I bet you our core values are very, very similar. But a lot of people find comfort in people who are like-minded.
If one of your core values is world dominance.
Mine's world peace. If you have to dominate for a while, you might have to.
No, I was just joking around there. But, we have a lot of stuff that's important to you to cover today. And I actually have a couple fascinating things that I want to bounce off you.
Okay, good.
That kind of happened to me last week. So,
yes.
So
you were in Texas.
Oh yeah. So why don't you go first with what's your first? What do you want to lead off with?
Okay, so do you remember I told you I was interested in buying a lake home a few months ago?
Yes. I do, and I was disappointed when it didn't happen already.
Well, that's what I want to get into because that's the metaphysics behind this. So this beautiful lake home that I'd picked out, it was 2,900 square feet, 2-story cottage on Lake Minnehaha. As you know, that's a big, beautiful lake. And the deal fell through. And I had 2 places in my mind that I could have gone to. The first one was, and I just kind of went in, not for long, maybe about 30 seconds. You got
dark there for 10 seconds.
Yes, it wasn't for long. And then the still small voice and the Holy Spirit, my inner guidance system, my higher self, said, no, you're going to have your house on the lake. So I was able to abide in absolute peace and with a smile on my face because I knew that this was going to manifest, right? So just let it go, give it back to the universe. God, you got this. And then my son called me and he showed me another house and it's on Lake Crescent.
Where's that?
So Lake Crescent is off Lakeshore Drive. So if you leave my house and you go into town, you stay on 561 on the left and then you can go onto Lakeshore Drive.
Okay,
that takes you past Lake Crescent and then onto Lake Minnehaha. I'm on Lake Crescent, directly on the lake.
This is the
new house.
The new place. Okay.
And I was going to downsize with the old place because that was 2,900 square feet. This is 1,500 square foot bigger than my old house, so we didn't downsize.
That's how big this house is.
This new one.
But it's on the lake.
This is 5,500 square feet.
Holy
this
Lord.
New one. So
that's bigger than this house. Oh my God!
It was so ridiculous.
I like your idea of downsizing.
I know, right? And it's just so fantastic. And we got a great deal on it. And this is the big kicker. Well, there's loads of kickers in this. The way it's architecturally designed, but it faces west, so the sun sets every night on my lake.
Oh, I love it.
So I see it every night. And I've always loved sunsets. And now I get one every night. And I've been floating. I've been walking around positively.
Well, your tan is ridiculous. I've been working in the garden.
Sitting on my dock.
I've been working in the garden, so I've got this ridiculous farmer tan. And, clearly, look at this. Don't laugh at me.
Yes,
I can laugh at me.
You'll have to wear a bikini.
I know, because I got this. It's right across my
You'll have to wear a thong and they call it a boob tube. But then you get clean tan lines.
So, but here's the important question about your new place. Mm-hmm. I'll wait till you're done drinking.
Mm-hmm. This is water, by the way.
I know, okay. Right, yeah, water. It's water. So can I land my seaplane there? Is the lake big enough?
How much, what runway do you need?
Well, I didn't buy the plane yet, so I just...
Okay, but you'd have to tell me...
How much waterway? Yeah.
Well, we'd have to go out there and do a reconnaissance mission, because Ray's going to put his boat on the dock. Let's go out there and measure it.
Well, I need... Depends on the plane I get.
What size are they? Like a 152?
Well, it depends on what I get. If I get like a caravan for 12 of us, and then I'm going to need like probably 5,000 feet, no wind. But
you've got that.
Well, I'll have to go find out.
Yeah, we'll do. We'll have to go. Right. We'll go on a boat trip.
But if it's just like a small, like a 2 or 3 passenger, like a small 4 passenger, like float.
Yes.
We could probably get away with less than 3,000 feet.
Well, let's go out there and have a look.
That'd be fun. But I still have to buy it, which means I still have to earn it. I'm in the process of manifesting.
That's right. So, be careful what you manifest, though, because I went from one house to this thing.
I know, right? I'm going to end up with a jumbo jet or something on skis, right?
I have one hand built for you.
Well, congratulations. That's so exciting.
And the other part
when do you
of
move
this,
in?
Wednesday.
Wait, this Wednesday?
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. And the other part of this, so downstairs, it has this. So when you walk in, it has. Did you see the musical, The Sound of Music?
I have, yeah.
Okay, you know the staircase in that?
Of course.
There's one on the left and right. So when you walk in, there's this massive gallery rail that overlooks the lake. That's probably 30 feet wide. And then there's 2 staircases that spiral down. And then at the bottom of the house, you have this huge room. And I'm not sure of the measurements, but I would say it's something like 50 feet by 50 feet.
Something like big.
Big, yes. And I thought maybe we could have some gatherings there.
Oh my God! You know what? I love the way you think. You're to the point when you need to be, and you're tangential when you need to be. I love that. So, well, good for you.
Yes, that's lovely.
I'm excited. Are you going to have a studio? Like, we can still do.
I'm going to have a podcast studio.
Okay.
I've got a podcast studio going, and I have an office, so they'll be separate.
Okay,
so
great.
Yes, that's going to be beautiful.
All right, so excited.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for letting me in on the secret.
So you can come and see it now anytime you want.
For those of you listening, if it sounds like this is just totally spontaneous, when Sarah and I talk during the week, it's always like when I ask her a question, it's like. Well, and she's like, no, it's got to be on the air. So we have no private conversations anymore.
No, we don't.
We don't. It's like, okay, no,
it's a very singular. It's a very singular relationship.
Yeah, it's like I'll talk to you about it on the air. So it's really precious, and I love it. It's like, oh my God, I can't wait to see you now. Yeah, not that matters. Like,
no, but it's nice though. Enthusiasm's a great motivation.
Yeah, it's like so when I respond to something like a new house or a concept, it's like so raw because I'm just hearing about it.
Yeah.
So that's all cool. What else? Anything?
So your trip to Austin.
Okay, yeah. So this was amazing. We actually drove from.
You did?
We drove from Florida. Yeah. So
how many miles is that?
More than 5. It's all.
More than 5 miles? Yeah. I was up at 5,000. I'm like, my God.
No, it's a road trip. But Robin and I sometimes we enjoy jumping in Raven. That. We name our cars.
Your big caddy.
My Cadillac. It's the Escalade.
Knick-knack, paddywhack, still riding Cadillac.
Right? But I know I get a lot of grief from my brother. They're like big into like saving gas and electric vehicles
I get that
and all
all
that
the
stuff.
time
It's
in
like,
my Cadillac.
I get these evil looks about it's like, okay.
I can't stand it.
If you want to talk about so-called fossil fuels sometimes and what
you do for the planet.
What a psyop. What a psyop.
Yeah.
The whole fossil fuel thing
on the
is.
wrong person.
It's like, you don't even want to go there. No, I want to talk to you, but you don't want to talk to me. That's the thing. But it's complete psyop. We have so much oil. Like this world has got so much oil. But we'll go over there another time. But so we decided to drive for several reasons.
A road trip.
Well, we actually enjoy road trips.
Yeah, we like.
Because we stop. We like to pull.
And did
up.
you go on a route that you hadn't been on before?
Well, there's no easy routes to get there.
Isn't
Like if I wanted to take 4 days, I could do that.
Okay,
but it took 2 days as it is. We just usually stop. We drive like 2/3 of the way and pull off some.
So you'll do it. How many hours do you spend in one stop in a car?
I mean, I can't. I don't like to sit for more than 2 or 3 hours. So
and then you get up and
we
move
get up
around
and switch seats. Like Robin will drive for a bit.
Nice.
And so we'll take turns, and it's very flexible. And
do you listen to music or do you just talk?
We do. We talk. We sleep. We listen. I mean, now I'm driving, but
you have to get a Tesla for that.
You know what we do? We're both so busy that. When we're driving in the car, it's our chance to just talk about stuff. There's no agenda. It's kind of like this. It's like we look forward to it.
Flow around.
Not that we look forward to the long hours and hours on the road, but we don't. It's not something we despair about. It's like
you can't. You have to accept it. There can't be any. That's total acceptance.
Yeah. The other thing is we had gifts for my son and his wife. They live in Austin. He works for the state for DOT.
What's that?
Department of Transportation.
Okay.
He's an analyst. He analyzes the satellite data. And they figure out where the next roads and just all that stuff.
It sounds interesting.
Oh yeah, it's fascinating. It's like way out of my out of my realm.
Yes,
it's like
me too.
That's I'm a nerd, but that's nerd.
Yeah, I could ask you a lot of questions, and I'd be blinking a lot of your answers.
So, but we had a great time. We just missed his birthday by a day or two, so we had his birthday and his wife's birthday. And if you look around their kitchen, virtually everything in their kitchen is stuff we gave them, like really nice, just things that make life in the kitchen easier. Because Robin's a chef, right? So it's simple for us to say, okay, this works for us. This is a premium appliance that everybody needs.
That you've tested.
And we tested and true, and we give them. So we did that.
No junk.
We went out to lunch and dinner and went to South Congress Street.
What's that?
It's due south of Austin, and it's a street you can look straight up and see the whole skyline of Austin. Wow!
Did you get some nice photos?
I got one. It's actually on my. I put it on my Facebook. It's. I'll send it to you. But
what's on this street? Is it restaurants, and cafes?
It's a very cool street. It's like it's like old time Austin. There's places. Art shops and galleries and music and
that's nice.
mystics and
love that.
Yes,
I have to visit Austin.
It's just all that funky stuff,
vibe.
It is your vibe.
Yeah.
They even had like all the girls with their little boots, their little white boots on and stuff. I'm like, dang, I forgot my white boots. But it was so cute and adorable. We listened to this little band. They're singing the blues, and there's a female bass player. So
nice.
it was super cool. Yeah. But it kind of dovetails into something I wanted to bounce off you.
Sure.
So I'll go back to Austin in a second. We drove up. We had a nutraceutical convention in Dallas and met some of my other friends and stuff that are in the industry.
And the nutraceutical is an organization?
So nutraceuticals are these are medical grade nutrients that are formulated to have a positive impact on human health. So, a lot of the so-called pharmaceuticals that are out there are actually petroleum-based. Like they're derived from the byproducts from the petroleum industry. And those are not always good for your body. Right. That's why you have so many...
It doesn't sound like it should be good, does it? No.
Yeah, it's just like... That's why there's so many by the way, you can get rid of your acne with this drug, but your leg might fall off, right? Yeah, but it's like, so there's a lot of us that are going more towards nature. These plants, the roots, the leaves, the fruits, the skins. Nature gives us a lot of really beautiful compounds that our great-great-great-great-grandparents, they knew about this stuff. But our school system, even our medical doctors, they're absolutely ignorant. As a rule, there's a few exceptions, but as a rule, they're ignorant. And that's why people...
And they'll prescribe a chemical.
Yeah, and they'll prescribe the chemical, but they don't understand that the chemical was based on something that was originally found in nature. So just go back to nature. You can almost always find that.
So I found out last week I had a blood panel and I have a vitamin B12 deficiency.
Sure.
So I need to talk to you about that.
Sure, yeah. So here's an example. Great example. There's 4 types of vitamin B12. I'm learning how to speak
vitamin.
The King's English, the Queen's English. But B12 is called. There's 4 types of B12. I don't want to get into the chemistry, but there's 4 types of B12. B12 from the soil comes from healthy soil. Healthy soil is soil that's got bacteria and fungal activity.
And that comes through
yes,
what's grown in that soil.
Yeah, so you'll have bacteria in the soil that's eating the decaying matter, right? So you might have... if you look at healthy soil, it's got bacteria and fungal activity. There's called a mycelium. It's under the soil. It's a network. It's a complete network of fungal activity, right? And these plants communicate. If you've ever seen the movie Avatar,
I love that movie.
The plants were communicating under the soil. That's actually true.
Goodness.
They actually do communicate with each other under the soil. But it's not just the fungus, it's the bacteria. It's a complete ecosystem under the soil.
Of course it would be, though. But I mean, this is what God did.
I know.
Whatever created this has to function beautifully, minutely, and in detail with precision. So this is not,
And when you look at the circle of...
So it's the soil that's really, really important then.
Yes.
So that allows you to put fruit and vegetables, grow fruit and vegetables in it. And then the vitamin, in my case, the vitamin B12 is going to be in what I'm consuming.
The B12 comes from, it's the metabolic byproduct of bacteria in the soil. So the bacteria break down and they manja, right? They eat, they live, they breathe, they digest, they procreate, and they poop, and they pee, right? So
Just like us.
they get rid of stuff into the soil. Some of that byproduct, a lot of that byproduct is beneficial to us, most notably B12.
Wow.
So the more you can eat healthy foods from the soil, soils that are not chemical and...
So when I go to Publix and I buy beetroots and cabbage, this is not going to give me...
No, what you want to do is come to Phillips Island. I'll walk you to my garden and I'll have you taste raw asparagus right from the garden. Break it off. You don't cook it. You just eat it, and I'll give it to you. We have Everglade tomatoes. Wow. They're as big as your little pinky nail. They're tiny little things, but they're crazy delicious. And I'll just give you some. And that's what a real tomato grown in real soil tastes like.
So when it says at Publix organic, can you trust that to be good soil?
It used to be you could trust organic, but you really can't anymore. There's also things that, even if it's organic, the FDA, which is really it stands for fraud and deception agents. Fraud and deception agents. Call out to my chiropractor friend John Bergman in South California for that.
Hi, John.
So John Bergman is a chiropractor, just an amazing guy. Probably knows more than he knows
we should
more.
Get him as a guest one day.
I don't think I could afford him.
Oh,
but
he'd do it pro bono for you.
I'm just gonna. John Bergman is one of the smartest doctors I know. He's read more than anybody I know. He took his business down to San Diego. He was in San Diego. He took it down to Mexico, like Tijuana, just so he can do the things that have to be done and not be regulated by the U.S. regulators. So let's back up, because we talked about vitamin B12.
I need a supplement for now.
and it's in supplements. Some supplements are better than others.
Well, you let me know. We'll talk about that.
We'll talk
afterwards.
about that. Yeah. But you want it to be as close to nature as possible. And so we'll talk later about the types of B12 and why they're important to you.
Okay.
So we had this everyone's listening, their heads spinning because we're in Dallas a minute ago.
Yes, and we went to B12 deficiency.
Right. So
back to Dallas.
So we're in Dallas for the nutraceutical convention, but after the convention, I met up with my daughter, my only daughter, and I met my youngest grandson.
Oh my good!
His
How
name
old
is
he?
Lucas.
Lucas
and
is a lovely
he's just
name.
such a lovely.
How old is he?
4 or 5 months now.
He's
tiny. He's right out of the oven,
Oh.
and he's just so precious and so.
Congratulations, that's lovely.
I'll show you a picture. And so we just, we laughed, we cried, we had a great Greek dinner together, and just really, really good reunion. Just had some fun. But I'm going to go back to Austin now, because I want to bounce this off of you, because this is something that has never, ever happened to me before. And it's worthy of talking about within the context of our soul's journey.
Good.
Okay, so
Nice.
I'm going to be talking to authoress Sarah Thierry about this, because within the context of your books and your experiences, and like your library is amazing. Like between you and John Bergman, I don't know who's read more. but and one last thing on John Bergman. When I was in the home stretch for my PhD, like he and I are not friends. Like we've actually never met, but he was an inspiration to me to just get that done. Because when you're in that home stretch, there's just you're tired, you're cranky,
burnt out.
You're just burned out, and
you want the goal.
Just he's such a wealth of information, and he helps so many people. And I just wanted to be like him when I grow up, right? You know, he's just that, he was such an inspiration to me, and I don't think he even knows it. But he just knowing him and seeing what he does for people helped me get over the finish line emotionally. So
that's beautiful.
That's why I just want to give him that call out.
Yeah.
But as if he's ever going to hear it. Right?
Big John.
Right. So we had dinner. We were walking up Congress. We went down one side and up the other. And the kids were hungry because kids are always hungry, right? And so I said, just pick a place. We'll go eat there. So they just said, oh, we have to go to this pizza place. So it was a pizza place that had these tables right on the street.
Yes,
right
al fresco.
Yes. And so we were sitting there. We ordered our pizza. We're eating and just visiting and having a good time. And it was almost sunset. And this homeless lady, she had, like the, what do you call it? The burqa, the hood.
The hijab.
The hijab, that's it. Yeah, hijab with the band, and she was all robed up, and she had these combat boots on, and she was pushing the cart, right? I looked, it's like, this is a stereotypical homeless lady. And I saw her, like, we were like 3 tables away from the sidewalk, so we were not like right next to the sidewalk, but I was able to see her. And she stopped at the first table and asked for food, and they ignored her. And she went to the second table and asked for food, and they ignored her. She went to the third table, and they ignored her. And I'm like, holy crap, I got to help this lady. So she started to go like past the restaurant, just evidently giving up.
Forlorn.
So I told her, I told my kids and my spouse, I said, hold on a second, I got it. So I ran to the lady, and I'm like, come over here, I'm going to give you some food, right?
Yeah.
And so she parked her baggage, like, the vertical cart, that sometimes you see. Yeah. It wasn't like a grocery cart, it's just a vertical cart. And so we walk up to the window, and I told the lady, I said, I want to buy her some food. Here's the money, whatever she wants, just give her some food, right? And the lady looked at me, didn't say anything, just looked at me, and I went back to my table. So I just prepaid her food, and she ordered some stuff. And after she got her food, she was walking by our table. And I thought, okay, well, I want to interact with my kids, not this lady, although I did want to feed her, right? Yeah. So she walks up to the table, and I thought, oh, this is kind. She's probably going to say, thanks
Thank you, it's lovely, and bless you, or something.
Bless you, whatever. She looks at my spouse and says, are you a Jew? And I'm like,
isn't life funny where
what?
You're in one reality and the next minute reality has changed?
It's like, what? And she's like, you look like a Jew. I have a lot of friends that are Jewish. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means.
Fuck.
I don't even know what that means. So then she looks at me, and she looks at me and says, there's a car show in Austin this weekend. Wouldn't it be terrible if a bomb went off there?
I just like, holy shit.
So my kids are sitting there, and she starts to launch on me about how evil America is. Oh. And I was just like, I did not see this coming.
No. So were you quick to adjust in your head?
Well, so she was wearing this very large, like you couldn't see her form. And I was thinking, I immediately thought to myself.
Well, now your guard is up. Now she's pissed off. And now you don't know what you're dealing with.
Well, the thing is, like, I was the farthest away from her, and my family was between me and her. So I was like, okay, I don't know if she's armed, if she's going to be one of those crazy people that blows herself up or something. So she was, but I didn't know what to think. And
what a situation to find
So I'm just like, what?
In.
So I stood up and I walked towards her.
Right.
Because sometimes you have to.
Well, you have to show some dominance in that situation.
I wanted to.
You also got to get control because you want your family behind you.
So I put my family behind me, and I told her, and she was really getting in my face, and I said, she started asking me a bunch of questions about this, America's policies and all this stuff, and
was she coherent in her speech, or was she
was
drunk?
very much so. In fact, I spoke to my spouse about this afterwards, but I'll get back to that. But she was very coherent. She had direct eye contact. Her vernacular was excellent. and I'll just fast forward. I was thinking afterwards, it's like, I wonder if this was like a test of some kind where she was like a university professor from University of Texas, Austin, and she was, trying to get the gauge, or maybe there's some sort of a social test, or maybe there's a camera here.
Yeah, you're going into realms which would lead to paranoia, but they're definitely worth asking because you don't know.
Right.
What
so
is,
it's like,
what
where,
is going
where is
on
this,
here?
And what's this lady's agenda?
Yeah.
And so I literally told her, I said, I will answer your questions, but I'll do it over by your bag. And I didn't wait for her. I walked over to her bag.
Good for you. You took control.
I just walked right over. It was like 30 feet away. Got
her out of your
by
family.
The corner. I got her away from my family.
Yeah.
And I basically...
And what was her... carry on.
So she continued to tell me all about her beliefs. And I don't want to say her beliefs because...
you see, I wouldn't have fucking listened to her at that point. The moment she'd said to Robin, are you a Jew? And you could see that she was angry. You were really good because you allowed her some forum to vent. I think I would have been like, fuck this shit.
Well, it wasn't very long. It was maybe 30 seconds, and I'm like, yeah, this is not going the way I expected.
Yeah, and you are not cool, and I'm out of your vicinity.
Right, so I wanted to get her away from my family, which is what I did. And so she was like, I was by her cart, and we were literally like beak to beak, about 18 inches face to face.
Jesus Christ.
And I was just like, I told her, but I was very peaceful because she can get angry, but just because somebody's angry in your face doesn't mean you can't be a peaceful warrior.
Yeah.
And so
But you do have very calming, peaceful energy.
Well,
it just exudes from you, so that's great that you practice that.
You don't.
And she's loud and belligerent.
Yeah. Well, as a special operator, you never want things to escalate. You always want to de-escalate things.
Yes.
Always. And one of the best ways you can do that is by bringing your voice down.
Right.
And just being. So the conversation ended probably less than a minute later. But I told her, I said, the way I wrapped it up was I said, it sounds like based on your belief systems that you believe that Americans are very evil people. And she agreed. I said, and you shared with me that because America's evil, it's up to you to point out those evils and to do something about it. And she says, that's exactly right. And she's agreeing with me because you want to get agreement.
Right. Well played.
And I said, and according to what I'm perceiving, your God is going to smile upon you because you're doing the right thing and calling out these evils.
Well done.
And she says, yes. And I said, I want you to know that your God is extremely happy with you for calling out those evils.
Did you?
I told her that.
Oh, my
goodness,
did you?
And I said...
But you were being sarcastic.
I said, you've done a good job.
Oh, my goodness. You affirmed her?
And it's time for you to move along.
Oh, you just wanted her to exit, but you affirmed her to de-escalate.
It's like, we heard your message. I heard your message.
Yeah.
We're done here.
Yeah, but you weren't being truthful.
Well...
Had nothing to do with it, though. You just needed to get rid of her.
No, my frame-up was with respect to her relationship to her God.
Yes, but it was the last bit.
It was the last bit. I needed to put closure on this.
Yes, and get rid of her.
Because she was going to continue to escalate it.
So you had to agree with her in order to dispel the situation.
I had to get her to agree 3 times with me.
Right.
She agreed 3 times, which it would be very difficult for her to disagree with me the 4th time.
Yes, well, you've put a cap on it, haven't
you? So I had her agree with me.
You've pulled all the power out of her.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got her to agree. This is just this is just martial arts. You just got to keep them off balance. The last thing in the world she expected was me to agree with her. It's like,
and affirm that her God's in approval with her actions,
right?
Which is what you don't believe because he's not.
It's totally
he actually
not.
Doesn't care because there's no such God as that anyway.
But
so
you're not
fiction.
At this point, I knew this lady for 3 minutes or something. So it's like, I'm not going to psychoanalyze her.
No, you have, exactly. But you have a job to do, and that's keep your family safe.
Right.
And you fed her, that was beautiful. And then she took advantage of your good nature. And part of the reason she did that, she's on a very, very low vibration. That's part of the reason that she's wandering around the streets homeless. She's not going to have anything in life which represents peace, joy, laughter, because she is on a mission now to proselytize her anger on behalf of a fictitious God that she believes is real. And her life is a very, very low, debased existence. And I think you showed her compassion. You disarmed her beautifully. I'm going to learn from that, though, because I know how I would have reacted.
Well, it was very difficult to do because my mind was going like a. We have a thing. Again, being a special operator in the military, there's this concept called the fog of war. Have you ever heard of the fog of war?
Okay,
so the fog of war means that when you have a lot of information coming at you very quickly, and you don't know what's false and you don't know what's true, that it can create this fogginess. Like if you and I...
So the fogginess is the processing time. That's your mind just evaluating everything, and there's no clarity because it's all in evaluation.
Correct.
Mode.
So like if you and I were thrown into a situation, let's just say you and I were pushed out of an airplane and parachute and we fell into this village in the middle of some continent. We would not know who's friendly, who's a friend, who's a foe. What's safe, what's not safe. There would be all of these unanswered questions. Yeah. And what you'd be looking to do is you'd very quickly try to ascertain, where am I safe and secure? Yes. And when you're uncertain about what you can trust and what you can't trust, what's fact, what's fiction, when you're in that space of uncertainty, that is called the fog. And if it's in warfare, it's called the fog of war. Right. Where you don't know, I'm going to shoot something there. Is that a friend or a foe? I don't know I don't know what's true and I don't know what's false. And I think a lot of Americans are in that place right now, like in our world. We don't know what to believe and what not to believe. No. But on a micro level with this homeless lady, which I think she was homeless because she wanted to be. She was a very bright lady. And if she wanted to wait tables and make cash business or something, she could do that. But that was clearly not part of the message that she wanted to convey.
No?
So.
Yes, I mean, a very, very interesting encounter. I mean, life throws these at you. You know, I've learned something. I think whenever I've argued with my husband, because we've had some really, hardcore arguments over the years, I have a tendency to raise my voice. And it's absolutely what you don't do. You have a very smooth, even voice. And that's, I think you can communicate without just getting loud, because it does amplify things. I mean, had I been a better communicator, we wouldn't have had so many arguments. And I'm much better at this now. We've been married for 30 years. But the tendency to raise one's voice, and in that situation, she was doing that. Was she calm or was she raising her voice?
No, she was definitely the aggressor.
Yeah.
She was definitely, but what I've learned...
So how did she just parted and said, oh, thank you for the pizza? And
oh, no. Well, it's all nonverbals. At this point... you can control people with your verbals and nonverbals. Like if there's a weak person, they're gonna take your cues. They're gonna take your visual cues. Mm-hmm. So I told her, I will talk about these things over here. Away, yeah. And so I didn't wait for her to follow me. No, I walked to her stuff. Mm-hmm. And if her stuff is the only thing she's got in the world, then I pose a risk to her stuff.
Right. Oh, I like that. Yeah, so that's very good. Plus it's 30 feet away, so the proximity is now what you want.
So in special operations, Americans and British, the Western world, whenever there's a conflict, people say there's offense and there's defense, right? And so that's the traditional way. You look at a hockey team or a soccer team, football team, there's offense and defense. Special operators look at things differently. We look at things asymmetrically. It's actually called asymmetrical warfare. But basically, you look at things differently. I look at things like counter offense and counter defense. How do I, if you and I are arguing or fighting, how do I defeat your ability to defend yourself? How do I defeat your ability to wage war upon me? So counter offense and counter defense are ways to defeat your enemy's ability to defend themselves or to
be further aggressive.
Be aggressive. Yes. Yeah. So a lot of what I was doing was just trying to find ways to counter.
This is interesting. So I had a situation that up on 27, there's and it's on 19 and 27, there's some abandoned hotels. And I was up there with Tony and Smokey and Ray when his wife was alive. They were in another car, and we just drove around because we were looking for space at the time. I won't go into that, but we were looking at this abandoned hotel. And then I drove around, and I came back, and then this car came up, and it pulled in front of me, and I knew that this guy was aggressive. But I didn't think about my reaction. This was instinctive because one of my kids was in the car. So I got out the car, and then I walked towards his truck, and I walked straight up to him. And I was just very friendly. I said, "Oh, hi." And then he opened his car, but he was holding a piece of pipe. I didn't see it at the time, or it was a screwdriver or a spanner or something, and he was holding it. And I knew that I was in a really, really sticky situation, but I had everyone, they were over here because I'd walked over there. And then I just remember saying, I said, "Oh, hi." I said, I was looking at this hotel. I said, "We used to eat at a restaurant here. Do you know where that restaurant is? Is it in town?" And he looked at me and he thought I was there just to look for this restaurant. And then he said something about, "Yeah, I think it's in town." It was an old Thai restaurant. I said, "Oh, thank you." I said, "We're going to head into town and find it." Got everyone back in the car and we left. Now, what he had done, I think he was had a meth lab in one of the abandoned hotel rooms. So he didn't know whether I was in a Cadillac, it was in my sports car. He didn't know who I was. But then, so I just used a person. "Oh, I'm just here." It was all just quirky, silly, but it just got him off guard. He never revealed what he was holding, but I could see his arm down like that, and he had the door as his shield, and we just left. But in that situation, I was very confident that I needed my peeps behind me, and but I also knew that I have no martial arts training, so I knew this was all going to have to be verbal, and I'd have to disarm him, let him know that I'm just a friendly tourist. Having an English accent helped. I was on my way.
It's very disarming. It's like, "Oh, this pretty blonde just asking a silly question."
Yeah, exactly. It worked.
That's awesome. So, well, anyway, thank you for listening to my homeless. I've interacted.
I admire how you handled it.
I've interacted with so many homeless, and this is the first time.
Wasn't part of you pissed off like, "You fucking bitch, I gave you some pizza and then you do me like that"?
20 years ago, yes.
Yeah.
But, what I found myself doing was just blessing her.
Just feeling sorry
Just
for her.
blessing her because I've not walked in her shoes.
No, exactly.
I don't know what she's been up against. Clearly she's been through some sort of abusive religious, because religions can sometimes really mess people's brains up, right? And so I don't know what she's been through.
Then.
I don't know what she's been through, so I have to.
No, so you can't go fucking bitch, or anything. But there would have been an irritation in that for me. But it would have been transitory. I would have found myself at your point, because you do have to take into consideration, what are your previous lives? What are you doing here? Is this your chosen life plan? I have something. Maybe we can do this on the next podcast.
Okay.
We can lead from this into what's in a life plan, and this is going to dovetail really nicely into what you've just talked about.
Okay, well, I'm excited for our next podcast then. So is there anything else you want to talk about today?
Well, I need to talk about this homeless situation in the next one, because it will lead into what I want to just read a quote from my book. So
okay, good. That's great.
Well, good for you. I think that's great. I like the way that if I travel, I want you with me.
Well, to be clear, I
might go off half-cocked.
I was pretty well armed too, just so you know.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, I'm always armed.
Yes, so's Tony.
Yeah, at least
pack a Mac.
My friends always kind of make fun of me. It's like, to me, a gun is a compliment. It's like an adjunct piece. Like, I don't need a gun. Because I've got these.
Yes.
But I've also got this.
Yes.
So it's like, but I've always got something.
You're not going to,
But when you know how to fight, this chair is a weapon. Mm-hmm. That microphone's a weapon.
Yes.
Right?
Fingernails.
That drum kit.
Stiletto.
Yeah. That drum kit there has got like 20 weapons on it.
I know what I'm buying you for your birthday. A nice knuckle duster.
You're so sweet. Anyway, well, thank you for joining me. I can't wait to see you again.
Yeah, lovely.
All right, be well.
Thank you.
Soul Decodes, a feature presentation, airs every Friday on the Earth Angel Media Network. This episode of Soul Decodes is sponsored and produced by Live Pure. Optimize your life by taking your health to the next level. Listen now to learn how Live Pure will make your world better.
Live Pure is an American-based distribution system of online portals that give discounted access to clean, potent, natural, and ethically sourced healthy solutions for fat loss, muscle gain, immaculate skin care, immune system support, whole body cleanse, physiological balance, and performance support for athletes of all ages. Live Pure handpicks the best products and nutrients from world-class companies, always adding to their quickly growing wellness lineup that now includes Korean skincare, medical-grade nutraceuticals listed as pharmaceutical alternatives in the physician's desk reference, and healthy coffee that rivals the world's best, but for only about $1 per cup. Soul Decode's listeners looking for vitality, youth, beauty, and better health can get 25% off retail by visiting livepure.com/Sarah Thierry and signing up for free as a preferred customer. If you are a content creator, influencer, or home-based entrepreneur looking for worldwide cash flows from the emerging gig economy, Live Pure's state-of-the-industry brand partner affiliate program can bring you up to 7 different payment vectors as bonuses. As a content creator aligned with Live Pure and Earth Angel Media, you will enjoy massive co-marketing benefits, including a cutting-edge website that is personally branded to you or to your business. Sign up as a brand partner at livepure.com/Sarah Thierry, or drop us a note at connect@earthangelproject.com to get more information.